Hello, everybody. This is Al Simpson, Vampires, New Jersey. I wanted to talk to my man Jake Estrada. He's doing a fantastic comic called Boca, and he has all this other wild, interesting experience with film and all this other stuff. I've been really dying to talk to him about it because it seems like we have similar experiences. I'm in New Jersey, South Jersey. He's been in South Jersey, Philly. I was born in Philly, so we're kind of like,
We're brothers from another mother, man.
feels like it.
Yeah.
So yeah, Jake, tell me about, how you ended up doing the comic. I mean, how did that happen? Because I know Boca is based on, and there is a Kickstarter for that right now before I forget. I'll be showing that also while we're talking. But yeah, tell me about it, man.
First of all, thanks for having me, Al.
My
I
pleasure.
always enjoy your posts. I like following, and I can't wait to get your comics. I supported your last Kickstarter. I got the whole collection. I can't wait to read them. The book looks awesome. I mean, you got awesome artists, awesome stuff. So yeah, like he's saying, I was born in Philly myself. I lived off the Boulevard. I lived in Kensington. I lived over Philly as a kid.
Yeah.
My mom and dad were from Puerto Rico, and I even lived there for about a year or two when I was like maybe between the ages of 3 to 4, and then we went back to Philly. Then we eventually moved to South Jersey as well, and we lived in South Jersey. We lived in Camden. We lived in Vineland. We lived in Bridgeton. Or if anybody knows South Jersey, I'm mentioning all the crazy little spots.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah. So I'm currently in Florida right now. I live right down the road from Cocoa Beach. I'm about 10 minutes away from Cape Canaveral where they launched SpaceX.
Yeah,
So
I was gonna say.
yeah, we get a great view. I walk right on my patio and go, oh look, there they go. Yeah. that's big things. So right now, like Al said, I have a Kickstarter for Bocas. Bocas is about a fallen angel who's been roaming the earth for over since the dawn of time. He fell with all the other angels. The story goes, and he was one of the bad guys initially until he saw the error of his ways and he fell on his knees asking for forgiveness. And his penance was that he had to roam the earth, righting wrongs and stuff like that. That's
Wow.
the basic premise of Bocas.
I love that. That's super cool.
Yeah. So I created Bocas roughly about 20 years ago, a little longer now, with my father when I was a lot younger. I was in high school. I was drawing, and I fell in love with comics when I was like 6, 7 years old. My dad was a roofer. He used to do a lot of commercial roofing out in Philly for the skyscrapers and a lot of different businesses. And he ended up doing a roof once for a 7-Eleven out there, and he brought back a bunch of comics to me. And one of the comics that was on top of the stack was a Punisher issue from Circle of Blood, and I was addicted. Once I read that, I got addicted to comics, and now the rest is history. I told my family I want to be in comics, and they were like, okay, kid. I don't know about that,
Yeah.
They never fully discouraged me, but you know how parents get. They're like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
Especially old school parents back then, because they're used to having more traditional jobs and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So, and my dad, he was an old school guy like that. He always used to say, I'm a little jibaro. Jibaro is like a Puerto Rican kind of hick or whatever they call that. So he used to always go around, and he always worked hard, and he like I said, he worked with his hands. He was a roofer.
Right.
I was addicted to comics, and I started drawing and writing storylines, making little homemade comics, some to my friends, giving to my friends, whatever it took. And I remember long nights crying. I can't draw hands right. I can't draw feet right.
Yeah, it's hard.
My mom used to laugh at me. So as time went on, me and my dad, as the older I got, the closer I grew with him. I learned more about my dad.
Right.
We used to have what we used to call. He used to come home at work. After working on long shifts, doing his roofing job. Like at 5, I'd be coming home after school. I used to sit down with him. We used to have coffee breaks. My dad made a strong Puerto Rican style coffee. He would get a sock, a strainer, boil the milk. So it'd be like Cuban style, but Puerto Rican style. And we would get real strong coffee, drink coffee. And I mean, and these were like, by the time these were massive cups, like the old Campbell soup cups.
Yeah.
You would get. We would drink one cup after another, having long bread, not garlic bread, but just bread with butter, dipping into our coffee, drinking, and we would talk for long hours. And my dad, even though he was a roofer, he used to like telling stories, and he would tell awesome stories. He told me one story once about a big Taino warrior. If you're familiar with Puerto Rico, about the natives on the island of Puerto Rico, which were called Tainos on the island, and they got basically eradicated by the Spanish and all the other settlers that came there and trying to take over and fight for their gold and exploit them for everything. So there's one story he told me about, like, about one of these massive chiefs that came down from the hills to fight one of the generals that came down. The guy tried shooting him with a musket, and the musket bullet passed the guy, not hitting the Taino warrior. And the Taino warrior had a big bamboo stick, running up to the general, killing the general.
Really?
And after he killed the general, he ran off with his daughter because they were trying to kidnap his daughter, take his daughter back to the ship.
Yeah.
So he ran his daughter back up into the mountains. They ran up back into them, and they hid in the mountains as all the other the soldiers, the Spanish soldiers, went in there killing them and systematically, basically wiping them out in less than like 100 years. But there was remnants of the Tainos that lived in Humacao and like in Yabucoa, Puerto Rico, and they remained there way into the modern times. Even my grandma will tell me where they would come out. They used to come out like, and this was like in the very late 1890s, 1900s. That when she was still a young woman, she said they would come out late at night, the descendants of the Tainos, and they were like, knock on door to door, still getting food, because these were little people that have survived and they passed the culture down that way. And so my dad would tell me these stories, these larger than life stories, things that he would go through, things that he would see while he was doing his roofing job in Philly. Telling him, oh yeah, I saw a guy just whack some other guy down the street. And I used to be like, were you scared? He's like, no, I'm on a roof doing a job. Who cares what happened right down there on Alamy? I don't care, things like that.
My dad lived off of Alamy.
Yeah.
Yeah. LaSalle University is on. And I used to catch the bus because I went to LaSalle High School. So I know that area really well.
Yeah.
But yeah, I hear you.
Yeah, he would tell me all these stories. And my dad, believe it or not, even though he's been gone for, about, I want to say 15 years, to this day, I think of him all the time. And he's like he was a big inspiration to me, a big hero to me, hard worker, always gung-ho, always happy, always having some words of advice to go. He always said, like, yeah, bad things happen, but tie your shoes up and just get back up and do it again. He was always one of those kind of guys. He's like you make your own success. No matter what, you work and you work and you work and you don't give up. He said, because there's still good out there and you got to do good, son. He said, tell me something like that. And he said, yeah, the world's hell, and there's things like that. But if you can make it a little bit better than what you came into, then you've done your job. He used to say things like that all the time. So me and him. Say again?
I said that's beautiful, man.
Yeah. He
put everything in perspective,
Yeah, really, it really did. So as I got older, I started going to college, taking up graphic design and multimedia design, and I started drawing comics again. I still drawing comics, and I would sit down and be like, "Hey, man, what kind of character I should create?" And he's like, "Oh, you should create a guy like over 6 foot, and he looks like this. In fact, he looks like me." So he became the first model of Boca, and this was of him back in the day. So I drew him, posed him in like a leather jacket, and he had pants on, and he had guns in his hand, and we just posed him, and we drew him, and I drew him up, and I put him in a costume, and I had some fun. And then me going to college, I kind of like shelved the book on the side, and I would just create different characters and stuff like that. It wouldn't be till about maybe it was right before my daughter was born. I was already living with my wife, and we were out in Bridgeton, New Jersey, and I was living there, and I was doing some odd and end jobs. I was working in a car dealership, selling cars for like RK Auto Group.
Wow.
Yeah. So I'm selling cars. I'm doing that, and it was weird because even though I was selling cars, people would come to me like, "Hey, Jake, we know that you do art. Can you design a tattoo?" So I would be making more money doing tattoo designs and selling cars.
Word of mouth, man. It's strong.
Yeah.
Once they hear you're good, they talk. They talk if you're bad, but if you're good,
oh, they do.
you know what I mean? That's nice, man. They track you down. That's
Yeah,
good.
so I would do that, draw it up and give it to them, sell it for 200, $300 right on the
Uh,
spot.
nice.
Carry a little portfolio stuff, and they're like, "Oh yeah, I like that art, that design, that guy." Or can you draw me this? And I would just draw something up and give it to them. Um, so eventually, I told my wife, "You know what? I'm gonna jump into creating comics. I'm just gonna go all in." This was 2000. I want to say about 16 years ago. So my
Okay.
math was off right now. About 2003, 2004.
Yeah.
And then so I said, I'm going to go and I'm going to self-publish my own comic. It's going to be probably crude. I don't, whatever the case is, I got to go in. I got to jump in. So there's where the first issue of Bocas came out.
Okay.
And like I said, I had my dad. So I started telling my dad, hey, since you're the original model, let's hang out. So we would drive around town. And I'm like, all right, I'm going to take you there. And I'll take a picture of him standing by a bridge or this or that. And so then I'll be drawing these books out. Like, so what do you think should happen? He's like, man, you should just rip that guy's head off. So we developed that. So we were having a good time. We were drawing. I was creating this stuff. So it was right around issue 4. My dad he had been fighting cancer for a number of years at this point. So he eventually succumbed to cancer. He died from cancer. It was around issue 4. I released that book, and I finished out the story arc, but as he passed away, I eventually moved out of the South Jersey, Philly area, and we made a pilgrimage down to Florida at this point. Just figure we want a new environment, something new, different, because everything all around us felt like my dad, and it was like it was different, and it just wasn't the same.
Yep.
So we came down from New Jersey to Florida, and I started to still draw comics. I was drawing. I went away from Bocas and I started doing different books. I started doing I started working with Nino Mezzarina.
Oh wow!
I started doing work with him, coloring up. We started doing different projects. At one point, I actually opened up a comic book shop in Kissimmee, Florida.
Really?
Yeah, we had a comic shop for a while going. We had
what was it called?
It was an independent comics haven, but it was a small shop. I mean, the big one in Kissimmee area is Coliseum of Comics. And but I remember when I opened it up, people would be like, "You're crazy having this comic shop, Coliseum." They own the game. I'm like, hey man, I'm just here just to do me and have fun.
Yeah, just
and people were like, "Oh, okay." And then I also did print on demand too. I ended up getting a big copier, and we did color printing. And for a while, we did printing under Estrada Media Printing. So we did that for a while. We printed comic books. We did numerous comics. I made a bunch more of independent friends at the time. I remember printing things for what's the Alterna Comics, which are huge right now. Alterna Comics. I remember when they were just starting out, when he just Peter Samedi had the chair, and I remember doing a few of his independent books before he took off and became this huge thing, and he does wonderful work, by the way. So we did that, and then what happened was, of course, we had that huge that turnover with the economy right under George W. Bush.
Yeah, in 2008.
Yeah, things got really, and I was like, I saw the writing on the wall, and I told my wife, let me close the printing business. Let me close the comic shop, because you know what? I'm not about to go bankrupt this way. No way. So we just shut down, and I scaled back, and I told her, let me just, let's focus on smaller things. And I kept on doing artwork, and I kept on having some fun. Eventually, from there, we left the Kissimmee St. Cloud area, and I moved into Brevard County. So I moved into Melbourne, Cocoa, Cape Canaveral area. And that's where I started to attend conventions. I did a bunch of conventions. I went back down to Philly. I did the Wizard World conventions. I did numerous different ones. I've released different books, like the Prez Hay Zombies. I did the Human Virus. I did countless different comic books, and I did a lot of different things until I'm always thinking. So, and I kept on saying, where can I go that not many people do, and be a little different than my competitor. So there's where I got the genesis for Space Coast Comics.
Right.
And Space Coast Comics was a comic book magazine that I could distribute it for free. And people, I remember my other friends that did comics are like, Jake, you're nuts. Why do you want to do that? I'm like, well, it's going to be free, but it's really not going to be free. Who's going to generate the income for me to print the thing and make a little bit of money was advertising, I told them.
Right.
And they were like, well, no one's going to put an advertisement in that. And I'm like, have you tried it? They're like, no. Well, let me try it, you know? So I started to, I signed up for all the chambers in the area. I was like Melbourne Chamber, Cocoa Chamber, all the networking groups. And I went in there, and I'm a big guy, so everybody sees me walk in. This guy's 6'9".
Yeah,
through the doorway.
Man, you're a serious height there, man.
Yeah, and most people are like, they're looking at me like,
you command attention, that's for sure.
Yeah, and they're like, hey, are you like a football player or a basketball player? I'm like, no, something better. And they're like, what? Yeah. I create comic books. And they're like, no way.
I love that. That's great.
So I got into all these things, and I started to do. I can show you. I have a copy here of one of them. So I started networking with comic shops. We started doing like getting ads for comic shop, local comic.
Yeah.
That was one. That's a big shop here in the Brevard County, Famous Faces and Funnies.
Wow.
And then we got advertising for local, all these different companies.
Very
even
nice.
Jersey Mike subs. Yep.
Yeah, that's been one of my things. Is my kid who gives me advice for comics. He's been telling me, now he's 12 now, but he's been advising me on vampires for 3 years. So he started when he was like 8. And the first thing he said was, you should have advertising in the back just to pay for your printing.
Yeah.
Then you don't have to worry about it. So he's been on my back for that for a while. And I've been, how it is with a comic. You're so busy doing so many different things, trying to get everything right with a comic. You let one or two things go by the wayside because you're only one person. Yeah. So that's brilliant that you've been able to do that, because that's something, you have to teach me how, because I haven't been able to figure it out. You know what I mean? Yeah. It's very hard. Very hard to do.
It is very hard to do. I ended up, it was kind of funny because I started to do that. And I remember being that, I was a comic guy, even though I was tall and outgoing, it still was intimidating, to go in these places where you're going with guys that have suit and ties. Yeah. Some of these guys are running multi-million-dollar businesses. Yeah. And you walk in there and you're like, yeah. So you're talking to these guys, and I ended up becoming great friends with a mentor of mine called Jeff Guadalupe, who's huge into networking. And he, one of the biggest things with networking is just building relationships, becoming friends with these people, not even talking about business. You just get them to know who you are. You go and you get a drink, or you go to Chili's and get a burger with them. You chill out with them, see your personalities gel, and then you go out and keep talking with them. And before you know it, they turn around and be like, hey, by the way, how can I help you out? And you tell them, well, I'm looking for this. I'm trying to do this. I'm trying to achieve that. So even if they don't give you no money, they might say, well, I know who might be interested. And they give you a connection, and it just keeps on going, and the synergy together like that, it's huge, Yeah. And that's pretty much was the genesis of that, and then I learned how to talk to people and network and follow up, because that's one of the biggest things about business too. Like you said, time is short. So I might tell you, yes, I want to buy 100 copies of your book. Right. And then I might never buy 100 copies, and you might say, oh, Jake just blew me out. It's not that. It's that I don't have time to remember everything I'm talking about. And part of it is the follow-up, and like, hey, and like, oh, yeah, I'll get back with you. And these people, everyone's busy. We live busy lives. So I learned the art of the follow-up, and keep on talking and stay out there and just, show people that, you're not a fly-by-night bloodsucker. No offense to your book. I love vampires. But you're not a fly-by-night hustler,
Yeah.
And I learned how to do that. And before you know it, I had all these advertisers, from Jersey Mike subs to all these local businesses. They pay for months out of advance, because you end up getting them to pay for 12 months in advance, since they like you so much. And before you know it, You can print your book. You can have your book out there, and it helps so much. That's what I always tell people, that's like old school Kickstarter before Kickstarter.
Well, that's how Marvel used to run their business.
Yeah.
They put in those crazy ads, like the guy kicking the sand and the kid's face on the beach and all that stuff.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that allowed them to build Marvel out.
Yeah. And that's what I did. There's books out there that I got for Space Coast Comics where, like, I had a pizza shop called Old School Pizza. So I would draw the ads up there, like aliens talking about, I'm from the planet Mars, I want old school pizza, all these different funny ads that integrated with the comic and with bars, and I ended up building up I ended up having places where I could drop comic books off where people sell them on the stand in the local area here. So I got pretty well known for Space Coast Comics.
Cool.
So as I worked out Space Coast Comics, I ended up at one point being able to print like 5,000 copies a month and just distribute it in this local area. Yeah,
that's huge, man.
Yeah. And I ended up getting really close friends with all the local comic book conventions, and then ended up partnering up with David Grace from Space Coast Comics, and I eventually became a partner of his.
Right.
To hold Space Coast Comic Con, and we've done that for years together. Right. We've done cosplay conventions together. We've done numerous different projects together, and
excellent.
As we're moving along, we're getting sponsors for that. We're doing all that kind of stuff, and then
that's good.
Eventually, we were hit with tragedy. We lost a young infant son at the time, me and my wife. Then.
I'm sorry, man.
And that changed everything again.
Yeah.
When that happened, there was I just kind of shut down, and I didn't want to do anything anymore. Yeah. It wouldn't be until my good friend Chuck Fresh, who's also the voice of Hair Nation over on XM Radio.
Okay.
And he does that, and he does that. I always have Hair Nation on XM Radio. I'm driving around. Oh, there goes Chuck right now. I hear him. And he does over 100 different voices.
Nice.
So it's like, he got on top of me. He was like, Jake, you got to do something. You got to do something creative. Don't die now. Don't die inside. I know.
Yeah,
you're going through a hard time.
Your heart's gone.
Yeah, my heart was gone.
Gone.
And he stayed on top of me for months until he was like, why don't you do a movie? And I'm like, something came. It was like a switch in my mind. I'm like, that might be a good form of therapy. I thought to myself. So we went back looking through all my comic books, and he was like, what about this guy? And he pointed at Boca. Yeah. I'm like, well, who's going to play him? You, he told me. I'm like, I'm not that good of an actor. Who cares? You're going to do it. Yeah. And that's where we started making the movie Boca. We started writing out the screenplay, and we went out, scoped out a bunch of areas. It was all shoestring.
Right.
And we found this place out in Palm Bay, right here in the Brevard County area, called the Compound. So the Compound is this place where there's about hundreds of miles of road.
Right.
And there was a developer that were going to build these. Perfect. Yeah, they were going to build homes.
For an independent film, that's perfect, man.
Oh yeah.
We had a lot of fun out there.
Oh yeah, we did.
Like when we were kids and you were playing cops and robbers or whatever, but you got cameras now and you get some props. That sounds like a lot of fun, man.
Yeah. So, and most of it's abandoned though. So we got all these abandoned roads.
Perfect.
So we went out, we scoped out that, and then I talked to the local donut shop called Love Bugs, and local bars where we could film here. Yeah. Before you know it, all these people came together.
Yeah.
We ended up filming out in the Compound again. We had this huge zombie walk.
Nice.
It was a scene in the Boca's movie where zombies appear by the villainess. She makes zombies come and attack them, and they swarm in them. We had Jersey Mike sponsored that one filming session on one day. They brought out Jersey Mike subs. They gave out Jersey Mike's free sub cards and drinks. And then we had the donut shop. They brought out about 1,000 donuts. I remember, oh God, it was nuts.
That's fun, man.
Yeah, it was fun, but it was hot, dude. It was like April, and it must have been about 110 degrees. I'm wearing like a 100-pound leather coat. I'm like, they're airing me out in the car. Like, calm down, Jake. You'll be all right.
That's who you are, man.
Yeah. Yeah, we had a great time.
It looks good on film.
Yeah, that's the ultimate thing. We ended up making them. So it took about a year and a half to make the movie.
Yeah.
Because most of the shooting was done on weekends when
Right.
everybody was off.
Right, when everybody's got a little bit of time, and and you get your location, and then you get the hookup, and they get you in and get you out real quick. I know what you mean.
Yeah, cool. I know you've been there because you made quite a few projects yourself. I mean, you're a filmmaker yourself, so
yeah. Indie film is it's like guerrilla warfare. I mean, you go in, you got your team, you're going in undercover a little bit, you're picking a spot, you know, because you really don't want to pay a lot because you don't have a lot to pay with.
Yeah, there's no big budget at all.
If you had the money, you'd be like, yeah, I'll pay for this and pay for that, you know.
Yeah.
Most of the time, it's your friend has a bar, or your friend has a location, or somebody has an apartment or whatever, or it's abandoned, like you said. And you go in with your team and you try getting the shots you want to get, and you get out. You don't waste a lot of time, you know.
Yeah, exactly, bro.
It's fun.
Yeah, so we made that movie, and then we eventually we released it last year, October 10th.
Right.
And we ended up getting it playing at the local theater over here called Cinema World. We played a day out there. Then we ended up getting played out in Cocoa. There was a movie theater out there, and then we had to play out for about a week in Titusville out here in Florida.
Wow.
And it was kind of funny because even though it was a small theater, they had about like four movies going on. They had Rambo playing, they had Boca's playing, and they had two other movies. And I remember the guy, when I went, he actually gave me a little paycheck from it. He said, "Oh, your movie did great."
Yeah.
Oh, really? He said, "Yeah, you beat Rambo. You beat Rambo here." I'm like, "I beat Rambo."
You get a picture of that marquee? Boca, Rambo. Boca versus Rambo.
That was awesome. When I heard that, I died laughing. Like, I beat Rambo. You hear that?
You know, Stallone would love that story.
Yeah.
Because he's the type of guy. I just read an interview with him, and he talked about every time he's done a Rocky movie, you know, he doesn't own the rights to Rocky.
Yeah.
So he had to give it up to get the deal he got because he wanted to star in the original Rocky. And nobody knew it was going to blow up. It was just like, I wrote it, and they're going to like Clint Eastwood and Robert Redford. He's like, no, I wrote it. I want to star. And they're like, well, if you're going to star, we're going to cut the budget, and we're not going to give you, you know, you got to give up something. But it turned into an Oscar, you know? So he knows like that thing where, you know, you got to go for it no matter against the odds. Once you decide to go for it, it's on, and that's it. You know?
That's true.
If you told him your movie beat his in a theater, he would love that. He'd be like, that's what I like to hear. That's competition. You know, that's what drives you. That's what drives a guy like him. He doesn't have to do what he does, but I heard he's doing a superhero movie now.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Right now, he's filming you know, now that they got the protocols for COVID, he's shooting a superhero movie.
Oh, wow.
It'll probably be out in the spring or something. But I mean, you know,
amazing.
And you know, he's not a young guy.
No, he's not.
But he's
still going.
He's got that spirit. I want to keep going, you know?
Yeah.
But yeah, he would love that story. He'd be like, you kicked my butt. Nice.
Funny.
But so tell me about the Kickstarter, man. I'm going to show a little bit of it.
So
you can talk while I go there. Let me pull it up.
So I was going to go, and we were going to film. In fact, we were in the middle of filming another one of my adaptations of one of my other comics, The Human Virus. We were filming that, and then COVID hit.
Right. And
then after COVID hit, we couldn't do nothing. You know, I remember I actually got the local PD over here to get permission to go film a scene I wanted to film out in the parking lot near their station. I let them know. I'm like, hey, I'm going to be filming on this day. I got the permit for it. Right. And then next, you know, COVID hit, and they're like, hey, we're shutting everything down. Yeah. You can't do nothing. So as time went on, I'm sitting home. I'm like, and then I wrote the screenplay for the sequel to Bocas 2. Right. And I remember saying, how am I going to film Bocas 2? So then meanwhile, I'm like, well, I could make a comic book. So I started drawing all kinds of things. I drew up the Golden Cream, which you helped. Yep. You contributed to that, and I put that together. Great stuff. And then I put Bocas together too. Bocas, you know, he's basically me. You know, as you see on the cover, it looks just like me. Yeah. I am Bocas. I mean, I got the Blu-ray right here of Bocas. Yeah. That's me. I'm Bocas.
where can you get the Blu-ray directly from you, or is it
Yeah,
Amazon?
yeah. Right now you can get it directly from me. I had originally it was streaming on Amazon for about a year
Yeah.
until
Post the link in the thing so I can throw it up here.
Okay.
Can I play your Boca's video here?
Yeah. Go ahead.
All right. Let me.
In the beginning, God created the heavens, and he filled it with the angels who were here before the age of man. And there was a war, and I chose the losing side. I fell to earth, and I laid in the siege of the land of Nod. Man was corrupted just like the firstborn, and I wandered the earth, killing, murdering man. My rage ultimately destroyed me, and I falling to my knees before the Son of God. Then I heard his voice again as I repented. He told me it would be my mission until the ends of time, defending the weak and handing out justice and vanquishing evil. All you really need to do is call my name. Boca. Hey guys, welcome to the Boca's Kickstarter. My name is Jake Estrada, and I'm the creator of Boca's. I created Boca's over 20 years ago with my father, and we released a series of comic books during that period. The original 6 issues were hard-hitting issues that had political intrigue, raging serial killers, and so much more. Once my father passed away, though, Boca's became more of a comical book where he went up against Santa Claus and other weird characters in his Holy Trinity pages. So there was a time when I moved on to other comic book properties, obviously, and I did books like Space Coast Comics, The Press Hate Zombies, plus tons of other books. But Boca's was always on my mind, never far from my heart. So, as you know, the tragedy hit my family. We lost an infant son, and if it wasn't for a good friend that told me that I should return to Boca's and produce a film, that would have never have happened. But, you know, it ended up being the ultimate therapy for me. It helped me fight through a lot of my issues. Of course, there's some issues there still, but, you know, a loss of a child is never easy, but Boca's was reborn into my image, and he became larger than life, and he ended up having a big theatrical release film, at least independent. But how can I say? Now you must be asking, what is Boca's? Now, Boca's is about a fallen archangel who fell from grace, and with superhuman powers, he now roams the earth, helping the innocent and punishing the guilty. Boca's is a comic book that covers a range of topics such as racism, hate, and other crazy topics that we face in the world today. Of course, I illustrate those stories in my zany way. I approach the stories using my mind and my worldview, and I'm trying to tell you a story that, you know, is action-packed, and it's fun, and it's vibrant. It's 22 pages of action, and I hope you enjoy this story, as Boca's is a labor of love. This is a guy that's been with me since I've been a young man, and here I am, still telling Boca stories. I'm still making movies, and I hope you see the love and the passion that's going through this. I have a variety of covers to choose from. Friends that I've known for years are making covers for me. Plus, you also get to see my mug on a cover. So, guys, check this out, and you won't be sorry, because you know what? Boca's lives! And that's right. As you know, I always say, we can do this together, guys. Peace out. Jake Estrada. Bye.
Super cool, man. Very nice.
Thank you.
Let me get back to the screen. All right, so yeah, you're getting close to your funded goal.
Yes.
Very
Yeah,
cool.
We're getting close to it.
Let me show some of that again.
Yeah, I'm after $750. Just, small enough amount so I could print out the book, get story out there.
Right.
I'm gonna have some advertising on the back. My plan. I've already talking to some local business, so we got that going. Yeah, as you see, I look sexy as Boca.
Yeah, of course you do. Bringing it for
I got the
real,
six
man.
pack.
Yeah. Super cool.
Yeah, I draw. I kind of do that weird, like, you know, I see some color and some black and white because it's kind of like we're living in a black and white kind of world. I'm trying to say, but also the book. So that's covered by Nino Mezzarina there, and then
Yeah.
there goes a Ted Davis cover,
Wow.
and then there goes me right in there,
Hmm.
and then there goes a little Nino Mezzarina. I thought that was pretty cute. I like that. And then I got the sketch cover.
Yeah, you got it, man. Very nice, Jake.
Thank you.
You're the real deal, man. I love watching you create. You got some brilliant ideas, and what I like is you also have good business stuff too, man. A lot of people don't get that there's business related to all this stuff, and you gotta, if you're not Steven Spielberg, what's up, Cody? If you're not Steven Spielberg, you got to find out business ways to finance what you want to do.
Yes.
Whatever you're going to create, there's a budget, and it may not be the budget you want, but it's the budget that you have. And you got to figure out a way to do that. I know I saw a guy today posted, that he wants artists to work with him, but he doesn't want to pay them, but he thinks that, I'll pay him when we make money. Well, you can't tell people you'll pay them when you make money. What if you never make money?
Yeah, and that's the thing about it. You got to pay something.
Right.
You find out how much an artist wants, and then you go back and forth with them. You might be able to talk them down a bit, and then you give them something. And then artists can't do nothing for free. That's what I always tell people.
Yeah, their time is valuable. It's not, I mean, it's that part of it is business like. If you want to be a professional, you got to be business like with it. And the artists that I work with, I mean, I have a vision, and then even with film, you collaborate.
Exactly.
It turns into something even better. You know
exactly.
What I mean?
Because that's the thing about it. Because you have ideas, and then they tell you ideas. You're like, whoa, I didn't think about that. You start to put pen to paper, and it becomes something completely different. And that's exactly it. You got to remember, there's the creative process, your dream, but then there's the business side of it.
Mm-hmm.
And then business is business. Even if the person's your friend,
right.
You still got to remember that person has to eat too, just like you do.
Yep. Yeah, it's tough because I know as artists we want to just create and then have it be loved and then be done with it. But if you really, want to get it out to the world, maybe you will get a deal with Marvel or DC or Image or some film company or whatever. And that's all well and good. But these days, the way technology has worked out for us, you can do a lot yourself.
Exactly.
If you're smart about it and you can finish. My biggest thing with film was I had a lot of guys that I started projects with that I didn't finish projects with. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I felt bad the first time I shot a movie that we didn't, I shared control with other people. And, you know how it is. You depend on people and then they come up short. Then the whole project comes up short. Then everybody, is disappointed. And I said to myself, I never want to do another project where I don't finish it, because even if an actor works for you for free, they want the credit.
Yeah.
They want the credit of a finished product. So when they go in that next audition, they can say, hey, I did this. And somebody might have seen it and they go, wow, that was really good work.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
I didn't get paid for it, but it was such a good script. I felt like I had to do it. So it's up to you as the creator or producer, or however you're trying to bring your vision alive, to finish it. Have a start, have a middle, and have a finish, and then have a distribution idea too.
Yeah.
To get it to people. Even if you don't get it to, Columbia Pictures or somebody, get it out to people. And if people enjoy it, it comes back to you.
Yeah, exactly. You're so true about that. And that's about anything. I have projects that I've worked with other collaborators, like even on comic books, where the guy's all gung ho. We started on this project, and before you know it, he became a ghost or,
Yeah.
got sidelined. So I got tons of unfinished books on the side. Even the same thing for film.
Yep.
I was working on some project with some guy, and the next he disappeared,
Yeah.
and I'm like, what? And then I remember one of the actors reached out to me like, hey, Jake, whatever happened to that film project? Because I want to show that movie. And I felt bad because I didn't have full control over it. And I told him, look, man, I'm sorry. I know how it is. I know you want to show off your work because I know you donated so much of your time to star in this project.
Yeah.
So much like you, I told that to myself too.
Right.
I said, if I start something, even if it takes me 2 years, I'm going to finish this. So the people that are working with it have a finished product so they can go and show their friends. They can show potential future clients. This is what I did with this guy. And this was my role. Just watch minute 30 on 28 seconds right here, and then you can watch their work, and they can get the reels from that and everything like that. And I'm down with that. And that's how I look at that. Everything I do, I always try to finish it because you got people relying on you, especially, this is a business.
They're counting on you.
Yeah, and they're counting on you. And that's a large thing to carry with you because, just the other day, I have several computers where I work off of. I have I have this one i7. I have my other computer over here, and the one computer that I was editing my latest film project called Zoomed that I've been working on. Cool. It died, and dummy me, I had a lot of the files on my cloud and stuff like that. But there's a portion of the film that was stuck on that computer.
Yeah, that's.
So I ended up reaching out to my crew immediately. I'm like, listen, guys, this is on me. I want to apologize first. Yeah. But I think we might have to refilm everything again. If you don't, let me know. Kill me now. I told them. And they're like, no, Jake, we're going to come out. We'll work it out. And I'm like, okay, cool. Yeah. So because that's a big thing, communication too. You got to let people know what you're doing, what's going on, because people understand. But the moment you go quiet, you act shady, that's going to piss people off. And you can't be like that. You got to be honest.
Yep. It's easier that way. In the end, if you're up front and straight with people, they respect that.
Yeah.
Because they don't see it much. Sometimes they don't recognize it because they don't see it enough. But I know from what I've done, I feel better about it, and it comes across in everything I'm doing. And they feel better. It comes back. You know what I mean? Yeah. And you build that trust. But I backed you before. I'll back you on this one. And we're gonna have to talk just so I can. I'm starting to since we've been stuck at home a lot with COVID. I did the Kickstarters. I've met a lot of people around the country like you that do all these incredible things in different states. So when the pandemic is finally beat and we get back to normal, I'll be traveling down there. I met some other people in Florida. I know I'll do a con down there, but
I can't wait to do cons again myself, man. Because you know what, my brother, who is in Willow Grove, is waiting for me to come back up north. Yeah. It's like I told him, man, once this is done, I'm going to be doing conventions up in Philly and all this stuff. I've been shut in the house too long.
I'm in a store in Willow Grove, Brave New Worlds, I think it's called.
Okay. Yeah, I know that comic shop.
I was just over there. I think I just sold out over there.
Oh, nice. Congratulations.
Yeah. But, man, it's going to be, we're building all these networks now while we have the downtime.
Yeah.
When things finally get going again, we can light it up. Because
bro.
You'll know, I know people. I know, Kara Nicole in Arizona. I know Jim Noble in Texas.
Okay, cool.
I know Wendy Shaner in California. And they're all indie people, So we'll all network and travel a little bit. And you're not just going out to California now. You'll know somebody. We'll know what cons to go to. We'll know places to stay, to stay and to go, because they're free. They're good with information.
Yeah, and that's the thing about it. When you build good friends that way, you're able to trust their advice, and you could go to all the places they go, and and that's how networking grows, and that's what I love about networking.
Yeah, if you're like, I want to go, any cons in Texas, I'll talk to Jim Noble that does Violet, and it's totally rad comics, and he's in Texas. So
Nice.
he'll know the cool place, to stay or what the best con is or whatever. So yeah, when things finally do get back to normal, we'll be able to light it up pretty good, I think.
Awesome. I can't wait.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm just waiting for this, I'm just like, oh yeah.
Just work on your craft
Yeah.
until we get to, we'll get to that point. But right now we got to, it's been a tough year. Everybody's been going through something. You mentioned your father. My dad has been fighting stage 4 lung cancer.
Oh man, I'm sorry to hear that, man.
Well, for the last 3 years, I actually miraculously, about 2.5 years ago, he got it. He had brain cancer and lung cancer, and we thought that was it. And they gave him this immunotherapy drug that if you took it or I took it, it probably wouldn't work with our system. But the VA gave it to him, and it got rid of his brain cancer completely.
Oh wow.
Yeah, and shrank his lung cancer. And he's a guy who grew up on a farm in North Carolina. It was a tobacco farm. So he was rolling cigarettes when he was like, 10 with his brothers.
Yeah.
He's 80, I guess he's 83 this year. So it shrank his lung cancer from his whole lung. The doctors at University of Pennsylvania were looking at it. They go, this is his lung before, and this is his lung now. And it was down to a spot.
Oh, wow.
Now, because he didn't get rid of it, he had a bad reaction to it. Otherwise, he would have took more and probably got rid of all of it. But, lung cancer, if it's there, it's going to grow.
Yeah.
So he's always going to be stage 4, and it's going to come back.
Yeah.
But I know, I go through stuff. You go through stuff. Everybody's going through something. Nobody's immune to that. Even the rich and famous are going through stuff.
Oh, yeah. That's part about being alive. That's part about being human. Yeah. We all got our own cross to bear, man.
And you might not talk about it, and you might think, why are they the way they are? But you have to back up. These days you got to back up and rethink things and say, maybe they're going through something they don't even want to talk about. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's true, man.
So, but you keep fighting, and I love that, Jake. You keep going, and you get that success, man. Your marketing and your business knowledge is excellent. I mean, that's what people need to know, because you go in these groups like I do, and there's a lot of guys a lot of men and women doing art, but they don't know how to connect anything.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So the more a guy like you can explain, this is how I did this, or this is how this worked for me, or if you have a question, ask me. You know what I mean? It'll help grow the community.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's hard because what I learned and what you learned, we didn't go to school for. We learned through trial and error.
Exactly.
That's the hardest way, but I think it's the best way because we know what works and what doesn't. Now that changes over time, but you got to be flexible with how things are.
Yeah, you got to be open, and the world keeps evolving, and you got to try to go with the world.
Right.
The ebb and the flow.
Right. But your stuff you're working on is fantastic. Is there anything else you want to throw out there?
I just want to tell anybody that's watching this, check out the Kickstarter. But on top of that, make sure you check out Al's comics. I mean, Al, he has a huge fan base, but check it out. He's an awesome guy. And you have any questions, contact me and talk. I love talking comics. I love talking art. I even give you advice on who to contact here out in Florida, and Melbourne area. We have awesome comic shops like 9.9 Comics that does signings all the time. We have Famous Faces and Funnies that does signings all the time. Cool. We have the Infinite Mushroom down here that does signings. And there's a lot of shops down here. Reach out to me, talk. And there's a lot of awesome creators out here in the Brevard County area. There's like Jonathan Hedrick, who's going to do the recount with Scout Comics. He's a good friend of mine.
Right. Yeah. I just connected with him. Actually.
Yeah, he's an awesome guy. Yeah. I've known him for about a year. He supported Boca when I had it in the theaters. He came out and I met him at the film premiere, and he told me he had been watching me and knew about me, and he was excited for me. And me and him became good friends, and so we ended up connecting that way. And he does some awesome stuff. He has the Freak Show comic book coming out for the zombie book. Fantastic creator, man.
I think he actually just got a deal for Freak Show.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah,
I picked up by Second Sight Publishing. I was proud of it. When I heard that, I was like, man, John, you're on fire, bro. Yeah, you're going to put our county on the map. I was telling him that.
Yeah, that's cool. I'll probably be shooting a pilot for Vampires next year, so I'm going to talk to you about film stuff.
Okay, cool.
I'm thinking it would be good to. I had a friend recently. I'm not going to name names, but he does a certain genre of books, and he was pitching Netflix 2 weeks ago, and they said, that sounds a lot like Utopia.
What?
And he went and him and his wife streamed, binged Utopia,
Yeah.
and they took, a bunch of stuff from his thing.
Oh no.
Yeah. So, and there's a direct link through his experience to the people that created Utopia.
People are outrageous at what they do.
It's ridiculous. So I'm thinking I'll film a piece of vampires myself to pitch. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you got to protect yourself that way.
And then I can say, hey, look, you have a trail of me doing this product.
Yeah, but you got to make it airtight so you can show them, like, look, man, my thing's been out here a year or 2 years before this person.
Right.
A comic book, as a movie, or as a TV show, a pilot, something like that.
Yeah, yeah. So definitely. I haven't filmed in about 6 years, but I'm getting that itch, watching you and Boca's and all this stuff. So
yeah, it was an exciting time, and I love filming. That became something where it's like, wow, man, it's great, man.
Yeah. When you're on the set and you're doing it, and you're like, yeah, man, if I could do this all the time, this would be so cool.
Yeah.
It's like you're on the set with indie stuff. You're on the set with people that really want to be there. Some of your friends, some of your family, maybe, but the people that are there really are into it.
Yeah.
The actors are into it. When I was doing Jose Luck, it was crazy. I don't want to keep you on too long. I know you had a long day, but it got such a buzz in Philly that I was shooting this movie that actors were talking amongst themselves, and they were contacting me to be in it.
Wow.
I'd never done a film or anything. Like, I'd done commercials for Comcast, but I'm not a guy who's known.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I got lucky that from the movie, the short I did that collapsed, I knew actors. And so I told them to bring their friends in. But it was like a big circle of guys, and women that heard about it. So it was nice. They were like, yeah, we heard about your script, and it's got this thing to it, and we want to get involved. So, that's always fun. That's always fun. And I'm sure you get that in the big money world, but in the indie world, that's gold.
Yeah, bro, that's true.
If they're into what you're doing, I mean, even when I get an artist I'm working with and they get my ideas for what I'm working on, you get a different level if people really enjoy what they're doing. You just do. You can pay somebody really great, and then there's no passion to the project.
Yeah, and it shows too, because you can see that even in smaller, big budget movies, like a perfect example is Bruce Willis.
Yeah.
You can see him in a movie that he likes, he's great in. But when there's a movie, it don't seem like he's into it. He's just like throwing it in. He's like, you're like, okay. He didn't like that movie.
One guy Kevin Smith worked with on a movie. I'm trying to think of who it was him, and the other actor is hilarious. And with a Kevin Smith script, you're thinking, well, this movie's got to be fantastic. But Bruce didn't want to be there, and it came across. You're right. It was like, oh, what am I going to do? But yeah, I've been lucky to work with people that really wanted to work with me, and that takes things to a different level, But I appreciate your time, Jake. I know you had a long day. I'm going to let you go, but when I saw Boca's, I was excited about it, and then you looked at my stuff and you were excited about it. So yeah, you're right. We're brothers from another mother.
There we are, bro.
We'll network and we'll talk, and I'll definitely be coming down to Florida.
Sweet.
I'll be back in your stuff. But
thank you
for taking the time. I know it's been a long week. I'm going to let you go.
All right, Al. Thank you, bro.
You got a family and all kinds of other stuff going on too. But your art is right on time, man.
Thank you, bro.
People need this stuff. The world is having a tough time, and they need these distractions.
Yeah, that's so true, bro.
It makes people happy. And it takes them away from some of the tough stuff. But we'll get through it. Next year is going to be much better. So
I can't wait. I'm excited already.
Yeah. All right, Jake. I'm gonna let you go, man.
Take care, everybody.
Go to that Kickstarter, get Boca's, and follow my buddy Jake. Thanks, man. Have a good night.
Peace out, everybody. Bye.
Yeah.